back to the channel, welcome to another video. It's that time of the week and it's Premier League predictions time. The games are coming thick and fast as we enter this busy December/festive period of the season. And of course the Premier League is beginning to take shape and we've got another round of Premier League action upon our hands to feast our eyes upon and to sink our teeth into. And I can't wait to get into all the talk, the analysis, and of course the predictions on how I think each and every single game will go this weekend. Before we get into all of that though, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things are always and forever be greatly appreciated. Get involved in the comment section. I want to know your thoughts, comments, opinions, but most of all, of course, your predictions on how you think each and every single game will go this weekend. This is a Premier League predictions video after all, people, so where would this video be without your predictions? Use and abuse that comment section at your will and let me know how you think each and every single game will go after 90 minutes this weekend. Right, sound good? Great. Let's kick things off then, shall we? And we're kicking things off with one hell of a game for your Saturday lunchtime viewing. It is coming from Goodison Park, where Everton will take on Liverpool, a Merseyside derby of real significance because, of course, this is the last Merseyside derby that is set to take place in the Premier League at Goodison Park. I've gone with 2-1 to Liverpool. Now, of course, Everton will be flying high off that massive win midweek against Wolverhampton Wanderers, in which they won 4-0. I don't even remember the last time Everton scored 4 goals in a single game. I doubt even Everton fans probably remember, but that was a massive result for them. Liverpool will be looking for a better performance and a better result since dropping points midweek to Newcastle. Look, this is going to be a difficult game for Liverpool, no doubt about it. People may say, oh, it's Everton, it should be easy. And yes, on paper, it should be easy. Liverpool should be winning this game and wiping the floor with their nearest rivals. But here's the thing, this is a Merseyside derby. This is like a cup final for Everton. We know from past experience that they put all of their effort and time and effort and everything else into this one game. This is like their cup final. We know it's going to be tough. We know the Everton crowd are going to be absolutely hostile at Goodison Park. It's all about whether or not our players can withstand that pressure. Can they handle the level of expectation? And can they come out of there with all 3 points? The dropping of points midweek means that this is a must-win game for Liverpool now. No exceptions in my opinion. Liverpool should do it because they have the quality of players to do so. If we play our normal game, we phase out the crowd, we just play our own game to our own level, we should win this game. But we know what we're going to get from Everton. We're going to get a slowing of the game down. We're going to get them to try and get us to play at their level rather than us at our own level. We know that the crowd is going to be up for this one. We know that they're going to be angry and contesting every little thing. So we have to be on it from the start. We have to be first to every first ball, first to every second ball. We have to play it smart, be decisive, and hopefully with the form of the likes of Trent Alexander-Arnold, Mohamed Salah in the team, we will get by this game. Alexis McAllister is going to be a big absence for Liverpool, but I still think they should get the job done regardless. 2-1 Liverpool is what I am going for in this one. Next up, we're at Villa Park for Aston Villa taking on Southampton, and I've gone with a 3-1 win in favour of Unai Emery's side. Now, Aston Villa have been a bit awkward this season. They managed to get back to winning ways midweek with a win over Brentford, but that's not to say it wasn't without its moments, shall we say. Villa should fancy this one, though. Southampton are playing some really suicidal football, it seems, recently. Their football is playing out from the back, but they don't seem to have the players to do it, especially not in this league. And if teams press them very, very high, they often crumble and they often crack under the pressure. And if Villa can get their pressing game on point, there's no doubt about it, in my opinion, that the 3 points will be going towards Unai Emery's side in this game. Not to say that Southampton can't lay a glove on Aston Villa. They, of course, showed that even with 10 men against Chelsea, they still had 1 or 2 opportunities to get a goal back in that game. But I still think that with the quality in the final third that Aston Villa possess, if their pressing game is on point, and unless Southampton don't switch things up in terms of their approach play, I think Villa could definitely get the 3 points in this one. Moving on, we have got Brentford taking on Newcastle, and I've gone with 2-1 to Newcastle. Now, of course, Newcastle will be taking a lot of positives from that 3-3 draw they endured with Liverpool midweek. But the issue hasn't necessarily been for the Magpies when they play against the bigger teams. Already this season, they've beaten Arsenal. They've drew to Liverpool. They beat Tottenham already. They beat Chelsea in the Cup. It's not necessarily about... they drew to Man City as well, sorry. It's not necessarily about the bigger teams that Newcastle can't get up for and can't compete for. It's the teams that are somewhat in and around them and below them that seemingly has been a struggle for Eddie Howe's side this season. It wouldn't be a surprise to me if Brentford gets something from this game, but after what happened midweek with the kind of form of Anthony Gordon and Alexander Isak in particular in the final third, I reckon Newcastle will get the job done and Newcastle will get the 3 points when the final whistle goes. It's not to say Brentford can't get anything from this game. We know that on their day they can be a real thorn in the side of anybody. Thomas Frank's side can be a very difficult side to break down and to also stop when they are in the mood and the momentum going forward. But realistically, Newcastle should be winning this one. I've gone 2-1 to the Magpies. Next up, we're at Selhurst Park for Crystal Palace against Manchester City. Now I've gone with a 2-1 win to Manchester City. Now, of course, City will be looking to make it back-to-back wins for the first time in a couple of months. In this one, after, of course, ending their losing and winless streak on Wednesday night when they beat Nottingham Forest. They come up to a side, though, that has been a bit of a thorn in their side in recent years. There's been a bit of a bogey side and a bogey ground for Manchester City to go to in recent years. They always seem to have a little bit of food for thought for City whenever Palace host them. So this one isn't exactly a foregone conclusion. You do feel that if the Selhurst Park crowd are up for this one and they're going to be really, really hostile for those City players, you do wonder whether or not Palace could fancy their chances of getting something from this game. It isn't completely out of the realms of possibility for that to happen. But maybe the midweek game will give them enough confidence just about to get over the finish line. Again, in this kind of scenario, it may not necessarily be about the performance for City, but it may be more about the result. But I feel like they can potentially do both, if not more the result than the performance. Either way, I'm expecting Pep Guardiola's side to get the 3 points in this one. Moving on to the Saturday evening game, and it's a quality game, this one. Manchester United taking on Nottingham Forest. The Ruben Amorim era continues at Old Trafford as he enters a game against Nuno Espirito Santo's side, who the wheels have sort of fallen off their season a little bit these past few weeks. A 1-0 win against Ipswich a couple of weeks ago is sandwiched between a couple of defeats to the likes of Manchester United. I will say it right eventually. To the likes of Arsenal and Manchester City. So this is actually their second trip to Manchester this week for their Nottingham-based club. I've gone 1-0 to Man United. I feel like the structure of Man United on Wednesday night against Arsenal was a lot better. I feel like they were set up better than what they've ever been this season, and it's only took Amorim a few weeks to get that sorted. They only conceded 2 goals from set pieces, which of course Arsenal are the kings of. But I do think that this obviously is a more favourable game for United. I do feel like they'll be able to show a bit more of their attacking prowess in this one. We know that obviously Forest on their day can be difficult to break down. We know that Nuno likes to set his team up defensively to be strong and disciplined, and that could obviously be a tough nut to crack for Man United. But in saying that, they do have the individual talent and quality to be able to do that. And if they set up how they did midweek, there's no doubt in my mind that they can't also pick up a clean sheet. I've gone 1-0 to United, but we'll see how this one turns out. Moving on to Sunday's games, and first up we're at Craven Cottage for Fulham against Arsenal, a London derby of sorts that will see Marco Silva take on Mikel Arteta as Fulham take on the Set Piece Kings, Set Piece FC as they're becoming known in Arsenal. I've gone 2-0 to Arsenal. I feel like this... you never want to be... you never want to say it's like a foregone conclusion. Of course not. It's the Premier League. Anything can happen. But with the form that Arsenal have shown these past few weeks since coming back from the international break, with obviously their set-piece weapon fully locked in, shall we say, and fully in their, Arsenal, I wouldn't be surprised if that is again the difference maker in this one. I feel like Arsenal defensively can be set up solid to stop and neutralise Fulham for the most part. I know there are a few former Gunner players in those Fulham ranks that I'm sure will want to kind of prove Mikel Arteta and Arsenal wrong. But at the same time, I don't know what Fulham side's going to turn up. Fulham can be a side that can be difficult to play on their day, but can also be very easy on others. I've gone with Arsenal, I've gone with the favourites, I've gone with the set-piece kings to once again put their set-piece mettle to the test. And that is why I think Arsenal will win this game, get the 3 points, and, you know, all things considered, with all due respect and all the possibilities taken care of, it's entirely possible that Arsenal could cut Liverpool's lead at the top of the table down to, at the very least, 5 points. Could be a 5-point gap come the end of this one. So it's going to be very interesting, this one, but we shall see how this one plays out. Next up, Ipswich Town against Bournemouth, and I've gone with another 2-0 win, this time in favour of Bournemouth. Bournemouth were brilliant midweek against Tottenham. They probably deserved more goals in all honesty, but a lack of cutting edge in the final third with the amount of chances that they had kind of only blunted their attack down to just the 1 goal, unfortunately for them. But they still managed to come up with the 3 points, so that's all that matters. They're going against an Ipswich side which are going for a difficult phase right now. They're in need of more points on the board, but it just seems like the quality is just not there when it matters most. Now, that's not to say that they can't turn this form around. That's not to say that obviously they can't turn their home ground into a fortress and start winning certain games. But Bournemouth, for me, will get the job done. If they carry on their form from where they left off against Tottenham, create the amounts of chances that they do, they will take them. Defensively, they have the opportunity to get a clean sheet. Of course they do. In all honesty, I'm probably expecting Ipswich to get something from this in terms of a goal. But I've given Bournemouth the benefit of the doubt that maybe they can get a clean sheet from this one. Bournemouth 2, Ipswich 0 is what I have gone for in this one. Leicester City against Brighton as our next game of focus. The Ruud van Nistelrooy era got off to the perfect start against West Ham on Tuesday night when they won by 3-1. But that wasn't without its nervy moments. West Ham had a ton of opportunities that they just didn't take. And Leicester were clinical enough at the other end. It was a story about the clinical nature of finishing that proved to be the difference maker as Ruud van Nistelrooy picked up his first win as the Foxes' boss. Against Brighton, who have hit a bit of a slump in the past couple of games. Losing against Fulham midweek, drawing against Southampton the game before. Are we just starting to see a bit of fatigue creep into Brighton? Are they looking a bit sluggish? Are they looking a little bit lethargic, maybe? Maybe Leicester can take full advantage of that, in all honesty. Now, of course, it wouldn't be out the question for Brighton to turn up in this one. It wouldn't be out the question for Brighton to suddenly click into gear, click into form, and start playing some of that beautiful football we know that Brighton can play on their day. And it wouldn't be out the realms of possibility for the Foxes to take something from this, continue from where they left off on Tuesday night, continue under the head coaching of Ruud van Nistelrooy. And that's why I've kind of been a little bit undecided by this. If I had to stick my neck out on the line, I'd go for Brighton because of reputation and of form, but and the quality of player, of course. But at the same time, I still think the new manager bounce could kick in. I still think maybe they could take advantage of this mini slump that Brighton seem to be going through right now, and I see the Foxes potentially getting something from this game, especially with the game being at home at the King Power Stadium. The crowd's going to be up for it. I'm going with a draw in this one. So 1-1 is my prediction, but this one could genuinely go any which way, and I wouldn't be surprised. Next, we're going ahead to the Monday night game where West Ham United take on Wolverhampton Wanderers in a game that is being called by many, and I'm going to call it myself as well, as El Sackico. This is a game that is going to see two managers go head-to-head in a game in which you probably expect that the potential is the loser may be facing the sack come the end of the game, because it is just that much of a high-stakes encounter. West Ham losing midweek to Leicester has seen, obviously, their manager Julian Lopetegui come under even more increasing pressure, with a lot of speculation surrounding his future in the job, whilst Wolves lost 4-0 to Everton midweek in a horrific crime. An absolutely horrific crime against football, because as I mentioned earlier, I don't remember the last time Everton scored 4 goals in a single game. That has to be some sort of record, surely, in recent years at least. So it just seems like these two sides are going to be facing off in a loser is sacked game. Which is why I called it right down the middle, when I'm probably going to say that both probably get the sack at the end of it. No, I'm not expecting a Premier League classic by any stretch of the imagination. I'm expecting a game that will be full of chances, because it will be full of mistakes. I imagine it will be nervy. I imagine it will be very tentative. I imagine the crowd of both sets of players is going to be a bit awkward. I think if I had to stick my neck out on the line and say which one I think will win, I would probably have to go with the form of the likes of Matheus Cunha, for example, of Wolverhampton Wanderers, and say that he could obviously be the difference maker in this one, and Wolves may go on to actually win this game. But in all honesty, it's anybody's game. It is genuinely anybody's game. And that's why I'm going with the draw. I'm going to say it's 2-2. I'm not expecting goals in this one. I'm expecting nervy moments. I'm not expecting the best football to be played by either side, in all honesty. But I think we could be in for a very underrated game on Monday night for not necessarily all the best reasons, footballing-wise. There you have it. And finally, and what I believe to be the biggest game of this round of fixtures, the biggest highlight, the main event of this weekend's round of Premier League action, we are at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium for, coincidentally, Tottenham taking on Chelsea. And as you can see, I've gone 3-1 to the Blues. Now, this seemingly makes sense. Chelsea, in form, absolutely smashing it right now. Second in the table, joint level on points with Arsenal, 7 points behind league leaders Liverpool. They've got a favourable run of fixtures coming up. It's looking all promising for Chelsea right now. Everything is looking up for the Blues. And they're coming against a Tottenham side who are so awkward, so weird, so inconsistent. And of course, they are coming back off a defeat midweek at the hands of Bournemouth. It should be Chelsea's game. But nothing in football is ever as simple. Nothing in football is ever a foregone conclusion. And the reason why I give Tottenham a chance in this one, I don't think they'll take it, but the reason why I give them a chance is because against the bigger teams this season, they have actually performed okay. They only lost 1-0 to Arsenal. They weren't really in the game much, but at the same time, they only lost 1-0 to Arsenal. They've beaten, obviously, Manchester City. They beat Manchester United. They are a team that, against the bigger opponents, seem to do well. They seem to do well enough against the bigger opponents. It's the lesser teams to the teams that are in and around them that they seem to struggle with. It'll be typical, absolutely typical of Tottenham to lose to Bournemouth on Thursday and beat Chelsea. It would be typical Spurs. It'll be so Spursy of them that it will be very, 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 very Spurs-like. We've already seen it earlier on in the season. We already see them beat Manchester United, beat Manchester City, but then lose to the likes of Ipswich and Crystal Palace, who, until they met Spurs, were winless throughout the entirety of the campaign up to that point. It would be so Spursy for Tottenham to win this game. I wouldn't put it past Spurs to do that at all. but I just think that the midfield of Chelsea is going to win them this game. They will dominate, they will control, and they will then systematically beat Spurs. Up front, Nicholas Jackson will back in the lineup, back scoring goals, I imagine, after being rested midweek. They've got Nkunku off the bench to fill in if obviously things aren't going according to plan. Cole Palmer's obviously in insane form. Whoever they choose to be their wingers, whether it be Madueke, whether it be Sancho, or whoever else they've got in their ranks, Chelsea are just flying right now. And I just see this being a very bad afternoon for Spurs in a big derby like this. A massive game, massive expectations riding on it for both teams. There's a fierce rivalry there. And I just fear for Spurs that this could obviously end in tears for Tottenham, for Ange Postecoglou, who is already looking like a beaten down and defeated man at the helm of Tottenham Hotspur right now. So I don't think it's going to be pretty for Spurs by any stretch of the imagination, but I expect Chelsea to win this game and continue to march forward, putting pressure on the likes of Arsenal that are around them and Liverpool that are above them. So Chelsea to win this game by 3-1. Spurs to have an absolute horrific afternoon at their home stadium. And there you have it. Those are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of all of the games that I've talked about in this video? What are your own thoughts, your comments, opinions? But most of all, of course, what are your predictions on how you think each and every single game will turn out this weekend in another round of exciting and intriguing Premier League football? I'd love to know what you guys want to have to say on that. So please do use and abuse that comment section and get involved. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you are new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and forever greatly appreciated. And of course, thank you all so much for watching and listening. Thank you all for your continued or even brand new support. It's very much appreciated to both the channel and myself. So thank you all so much for that. It's awesome. Can't thank you guys enough. Will always be forever appreciated and never taken for granted. So thank you once again. I've been Fletch. This has been another Premier League predictions video, and I will see you and speak to you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Speak to you again very, very soon.